moving into NHL, the big story in hockey is we are getting ready for the expansion draft next week for the Seattle Kraken.
And the regular draft, too, but no one cares about that right now.
No, yeah, the expansion draft is the big thing as teams are looking to protect players and whatnot. A lot of folks are up for grabs. You're seeing a lot of one-year contracts in the hope of offering these players up to the Kraken potentially. But what's interesting is that certain players, such as Carey Price, who literally just took his team to the Stanley Cup, and Vladimir Tarasenko in St. Louis, are exposed. And if the Kraken want to take on some big money contracts, you have two Stanley Cup caliber players just waiting for you, similar to what happened with Vegas with Marc-Andre Fleury a few years ago, and we saw what happened there. This is going to be interesting to see what the Kraken do and what their mentality is going into this first season. But if I am them, you got to hit a certain money level anyway. Why not spend it on proven winners and then fill out your club with some of these role players like a Julien Gauthier with the Rangers or whatnot? Because as much as I do like him, he's on a 1 year contract. It's less than $1 million. The Rangers are clearly trying to dangle him in front to be like, take him, go, take him. And I'd rather him go than some of those other players that they have exposed. So, Lee, what are your thoughts on the expansion draft?
So when it comes to the goaltending side of this, we have to remember the Kraken are going to take 3 to 4 goalies most likely. Again, they could take 30 players. We have to remember that several of these players are not going to be playing in the NHL next season to begin with. When you look at a Carey Price, we also have to mention Tuukka Rask, Halak, all these guys are available. So it does come down to money. But remember, all 30 teams outside Vegas have to put a goaltender up. So the Kraken have 30 goaltenders plus to choose from. If they go with Carey Price or Tuukka Rask or even Yaroslav Halak, I'll actually be kind of surprised. I'm not saying they won't, but the contracts are too large, and the truth is you got to build your top 12, you got to build your bottom 6. All right, and I think that finding that right cohesive group is going to be really important. Now, Ray, you did make a great point that Fleury was in a position where he really helped out the Vegas Golden Knights. But I talked about this earlier in the week. We have to remember the year they went to the Cup final, they played like 5 or 6 goalies. Fleury was hurt for a good portion of that season. Now, he's still very much the reason they went as far as they did in the postseason. All right, but I'd actually be surprised if they go after Price with that monster contract. That would not be smart for an expansion team to pick up on that right now. And Price is also an aging goalie. If I'm them, if they want to take on a Tuukka Rask, if they want to take on someone like that, go for it. But I think it's actually your second and third goalie that you pick, if they do that many, that are really more important. And I think there's other capable goalies on the market outside those franchise players. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. Again, with an expansion draft, everything's up for grabs. The other thing, too, is, look, a lot of teams, it doesn't matter who you are in the NHL, you're exposing some very good players right now. Philadelphia Flyers left Jake Voracek, James Van Riemsdyk out there, Shane Gostisbehere. So it's going to come down to the head coach, Hackstall, who was the Flyers coach prior, picking who he thinks he can bring together, bond together, and create a cohesive team on the ice. One of the mistakes that I think NHL fans are making right now is just, pick the best players available. That's not what Vegas did. That is not what Vegas did. Vegas did not pick. They picked the right players. All right, and if you remember that first season, nobody knew who Marcia Salt was before that season, or England.
Well, I knew.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? These are not household names until after that season. Fleury was the only name. And yes, of course you did. So you got to pick the right players. You got to pick people that are going to go into the system. And, you might lose a player that you liked, but everyone's panicked. It's like, guys, you just got to let it play out. It'll happen when it happens. We're all losing a player except for Vegas. People think Vegas should be included in that now. I don't agree. All right.
Well, and Vegas specifically negotiated that. I mean, they're losing out on $20 million in order to not, and that was again part of their. I mean, also Vegas has only been in the league for a few years. I kind of get it. You know what I mean? Vegas should have been. Honestly, the Kraken should have came in at the same time as the Vegas Golden Knights. But that's a whole different. That's a whole different story.
The deal with Vegas is this: if they didn't go to the Cup final the first year, nobody would have any problem with this, right? It's again. Right. And we've talked about this on the show before. People think Vegas got lucky. They did not get lucky going to the Cup final. They had one of the best introduction seasons, probably the best, in the history of the NHL. They had a massive why, and they had a good team. That's why they went. And yes, I don't believe the Seattle Kraken are going to be a bad hockey team next year. They're going to be very competitive, and that's the point, right? They're not supposed to come in and be the worst team. We saw that. We saw what happened in Columbus when it took them 10 years, right, to come up with a team. I believe they were the last team to make the playoffs in NHL history, like at the time of their expansion. Like it was ridiculous. So you want a team that's going to be competitive. If you have one of the bottom half teams in the league and the Kraken do better than you, it's not the Kraken's fault. Right? So is it plural as the Krakens? Or I think Kraken is plural too.
Kraken is also the plural.
Yeah,
of
it's
Kraken,
not the fault of the Kraken.
Yeah.
All right? But I'm excited for the expansion draft. I think it's exciting. I like the idea of a new team being born. The GM of the team is Ron Francis, one of the greatest playmakers in NHL history. You have the head coach and Wayne Hackstall. I think his first name is Wayne. I forgot already. Maybe it's Dwayne. Whatever. Hackstall is the head coach of that team. And, if anybody, let's just do this real quick. The prediction of who they're going to take from the Rangers, and I'll give you the prediction who I think they're going to take from the Flyers.
I'm going to say it's either going to be Gauthier, Blackwell, or DiGiuseppe, one of our forwards, one of our third and fourth line forwards. That's what I think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think for the Flyers, it's going to be Shane Gostisbehere, just because Hackstall has coached him before, and he really thrived underneath him. Jake Voracek is another monster contract. I mean, he'd be on the hot seat. I really hope they don't take James Van Riemsdyk. Part of me is hoping they're secretly hoping that they don't see how good he is on the power play and the special teams, and that we get to keep him, because I think he's a big piece of the puzzle for us. Statistically speaking, him and Voracek would be the guys to take, but I think they take Shane Gostisbehere, young defenseman.